Hello, wonderful interpreters, and thank you again for tuning in. This is another video update. I believe the last time I posted a video was back in March 30th when we were exposing MyLanguageLink. That company is LNI's apparent successful bidder, and since then, we have been engaging in live streams, webinars. We have met with LNI's representatives, and we have been engaging with you and just being busy organizing and working and dealing with this COVID-19 situation. So with that said, let's get to it. Washington interpreters, that's our logo. What Afscme Wfse Local 1671 didn't tell you, and our flyers have been mailed out. I'm excited about that. I'm going to talk to you more about these things, so let's get to it. Now, if you remember back in March, we were talking about LNI's successful bidder, MyLanguageLink, and how the registered agent was Eduardo Zaldivar, owner of OneLingua, and we talked about the contract that OneLingua had with Local 1671 from back in 2017. We also highlighted the fact that they are headquartered in Connecticut, and they are also registered as a foreign profit corporation, which is very concerning because this is driving away jobs from Washington state to other interests, to other states, and possibly other countries. And so we also saw the connection that I established between the governor or the president, Marisa Giglio, Eduardo, the registered agent, Local 1671, and OneLingua. Since then, LNI has been still investigating this situation. 3 of the companies that were bidding for the LNI contract protested this decision. And so what I know as of right now, even as of today, Friday, May 22nd, they haven't said anything else. They requested more time not long ago. It's been 6 weeks since all of these events, and they still are taking their time, making sure that they make the right decision. That's all I know. That's all that I could tell you right now. So let's get to the next slide right here. So if you have been paying attention, you have been receiving invitations from our team, our staff, to get involved and join our live streams. And we offer to you guys COVID-19 resources, updates. These are just pictures of what we do. These are YouTube live streams where, interpreters join us. We have special guests. This picture right here highlights our petitions. And so I'm going to be trying to go through these slides fairly quick. So if you need to stop this video and read something that's of interest to you, please do so. And please remember to check the description box at the end of the video and check the timestamps so you can jump to sections that you like or you want to hear first. And if you see right here, we see we had the meeting with Joel Sachs, and this is from the broadcast we had on April 18th. And then we have another picture right here of an interpreter from the Tri-Cities area, I believe, interacting with us, Emiliano. He's a very good supporter. And so, just like I was telling you, click on the desired timestamps to jump through the topics of any YouTube video. Before, I didn't have these timestamps on the live streams. I just added them today. So please feel free because these are fairly long, 2 hours or longer sometimes. And so if you want to check any topic that you like, any topic that interests you, please do so. And then you see right here, we wanted to talk to you about this petition. We talked about this in our live streams, but, this is the petition that we created on March 29th when LNI wasn't willing to let us work for video and phone interpretation, right? So we created this petition, allowing interpreters to work from home and be compensated by the in-person fee schedule. That was on March 29th, as you see right here. We posted it on March 30th, and you saw this. We don't have to tell you much about it. Please read it at your own time. Pause this video if you want, but mainly they were giving these jobs, telephonics and video, because they have contracts with LanguageLink and Lionbridge. So we were the first that actually created this petition and submitted it to the governor and LNI. And so Right off the bat, we requested a meeting with Joel Sachs. If you see right here, if you want to pause this slide so you could read it completely, I requested a meeting with Joel Sachs on behalf of Washington Interpreters so we could address this situation. And we forwarded this petition to the governor and to LNI because we needed to work. We didn't think it was right that LNI was going to give these jobs to other companies outside of the state. When we have these interpreters, we have ourselves, business owners, independent interpreters, needing work, right? So, and then you see that right there, next day, the policy changed. Our advocacy worked, our petition worked, and so they allowed in-person interpreters the option of providing video and telephone interpretation, okay, getting paid by the in-person fee schedule. And these are just the slides. Feel free to pause them if you want to. I think I went through these policies through the webinars and live streams, but basically, if you need more information about it, these are the slides right here, okay, very important information. The codes for telephone interpretation services, the code for video, and the individual interpretation didn't change for these appointments, right? Now, I want you to know that wait time wasn't something that they fixed. Waiting time in between calls, they left it as it is. They didn't pay for that, and that's something that we were advocating for. Now, right after that, something happened. Right after that, Universal Language Service sent this email to all of us that are registered with Universal Language Services. I do most of my work. The bulk of my work is LNI, as all of you that tune to these videos, to these informational videos, but also all of us in the LNI system, we take appointments with Universal and some other agencies here and there because we have to fill our schedule. And so they sent these email on April 7th, okay, at 4 p.m., 4:04 p.m., saying that as of April 16th, all in-person appointments were going to be suspended and they would transfer all appointments to OPI. Please read them at your own time. And so this policy started on the 16th. As you see right here. Now, this was very concerning to me and many interpreters and leaders in the movement that I'm trying to propose, Washington Interpreters, because we are stakeholders and we receive appointments from Universal from time to time to fill our schedule, like I said, and I believed, this was something that wasn't working. If we just, were successful asking LNI to let us work in person, and if not, allow us to work from home and through video and telephonics, why couldn't they do the same, right? But they were suspending all in-person appointments, and we LNI interpreters, we kept on working, having work hardening, work conditioning, physical therapy, doctor's visits, provided from the provider's PPE equipment. Now, this is the problem with the situation that developed from the HCA. This is the problem. We didn't have any jobs. Now, this was today that I took this picture, but it's been the same, and this is my account with ULS. It's been the same since that time, since April 16th. No jobs, no OPI jobs, no in-person jobs, and many interpreters, they started wondering what's going on. And so what happened? We didn't hear anything from the union that represents DSHS HCA interpreters, Local 1671, on this issue. And so what is it that we did? Well, Anastasio Lepe, a colleague, part of the leadership in our movement, he reached out to the HCA. He said, hey, as of right now, as of April 16th this year, tomorrow, HCA interpreters will not be able to work in person. And at the moment, LNI interpreters are still able to work in person and from home if needed. And he said, we would like to schedule a phone meeting with you. So we just wanted to touch base with them because we are stakeholders. And some people saw this as an overstep from our part. But in reality, you are an interpreter, we are interpreters. And if we take jobs from Universal, they don't have any answers. We have to reach out to the people responsible for this. And we just wanted some answers and just, provide some insight and ideas, cooperate, see what we could do to help this situation. And so this is the response we got from Catherine Templet. Anastasio got this response right away, 2:04 p.m. On the 15th. they said, Anastasio, I am forwarding your email to our labor representative here at the HCA. Now, this didn't go anywhere. This lady is very nice, Catherine Templet, but the reality is that, we are not the union that represents LNI interpreters or DSHS interpreters. We are just, trying to get into an election, and so even though we are stakeholders, they had no, they had no obligation to meet with us. It's just that we reached out because the other union didn't seem to do much about this, in our opinion. And so what happened was, we saw this policy from the healthcare authority. We realized that there was something that Local 1671 Wfse wasn't telling any interpreter whatsoever. They didn't tell Universal. Universal is just the entity that provides the scheduling system and appointments for the interpreters. It's not their responsibility to clear out any misinformation. So we saw this. And so attention providers over the phone interpreting for spoken language, and they said this on April 17th. They said, OPI is available for days of service on or after April 16th, 2020. As a reminder, HCA will not allow in-person interpretation during the governor's stay home, stay healthy order. But this is the important part right here. This decision was made out of an abundance of caution and to comply with the order. So I want you to know the difference right here. The governor didn't order HCA to suspend in-person interpretation. No. The governor just laid out the stay at home, stay healthy order, but we are essential workers. So we are essential workers. So what does that mean? We were supposed to be working. LNI interpreters were still working at this time, and so, but HCA decided, because of an abundance of caution, to comply with the order suspending these appointments. Okay, and so what happened was that they had an exception to this policy that we were not told. This is what they didn't tell you guys, they didn't tell us, and we didn't know this until later. It says right here, what is the exception policy? Let me go back to this, and show you that they had an exception. It says right here, HCA will continue to allow providers to request interpreters to participate in video-based remote interpretation, and to use this option, you will schedule an in-person interpreter as normal, and you must add the video link to the interpreter notes field. HCA will allow in-person interpreters when the healthcare provider determines it is medically necessary to support the client's care. The healthcare provider is required to provide personal protective equipment, PPE, and infection control measures for the interpreter. To use this option, you will schedule an in-person interpreter and add a description of the PPE and infection control measures to the interpreter notes field. So in-person jobs were not ruled out completely. There were exceptions. And so these exceptions, were very reasonable, provided PPE from the providers. And so what does that look like? Well, we reached out to Universal Language Service because we're like, wait a minute. So we had an exception, and providers can request in-person interpreters. They just have to provide some PPE. We have to reach out to Universal because we didn't hear back from the healthcare authority, or they didn't grant us a phone call or a meeting. And so we reached out to Universal. Anastasio reached out to Shelly, and this was on April 29th, And he said, good morning, Shelly. I would like to review this announcement from the HCA. Please let me know how we can help providers and interpreters better understand this exception. The HCA put this out with their initial decision back on April 16th when shifting to OPI. Neither HCA or Wfse have shared this knowledge with their members or bothered to explain this to all stakeholders. See attachment, please. And so, I want you to know that we had no ill intentions when we did this. We just wanted some answers because we were not getting the answers from the other union, Local 1671, that represents, interpreters that cover HCA jobs. And I do jobs from time to time with HCA. So I was like, okay, my options are getting a little more limited, even though I have plenty of work with LNI, but I want to know what's going on. So we came up with this plan. Now, right after, I want you to see that Anastasio reached out to Shelly from Universal on April 29th at 10:12 a.m. in the morning. Right after, she answered because Universal had not talked about this exception until we reached out to them. And I just want you to see this. We're not the union representing HCA interpreters at DSHS jobs. However, the other union didn't do anything about it. Didn't say, hey, Universal, HCA, I think we have to tell providers that they could request in-person interpreters. So a lot of people were going through hardships, not having OPI jobs, not having any in-person jobs. And so we took it upon ourselves to talk to HCA, and when we didn't get anything from them, we talked to Universal, and they finally put out a newsletter right there the same day at 9:15 p.m. And so if you see right here, it says exceptions to OPI. Let's read it real quick because we have to go because of time through the other slides. It says in person, HCA will allow interpreters to attend appointments in person. Like you see, if the healthcare provider determines it is medically necessary to support the client's care needs, interpreters must be provided with the same level of personal protective equipment and infection control measures used by medical professionals. And a lot of people were telling me, but Juan, there's not enough PPE around. Really? This set right here of PPE is used for many appointments. Now, we're not naive. We know that DSHS appointments are a little different than LNI appointments. LNI is more dynamic, but many or most of the jobs from the DSHS side of things could go and be successful having this set of PPE: mask, gloves, hand sanitizer. Look at the picture right here. So you're telling me that in-person jobs couldn't be offered because providers were not going to offer masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers? I'm not saying to 100% of appointments, but for most. I mean, we go to clinics regularly as LNI interpreters to cover work hardening, work conditioning. Everybody has gloves, masks, hand sanitizer. This is very basic, but these jobs were not available. We didn't know why. We were not told about this exception, and there you have it. This is something that they didn't tell us, and I just wanted you guys to know because while this was going on, we said, well, maybe we need to create a petition to the HCA. And even though we're not the union, but a petition that would be signed by interpreters, would get their attention, and we could submit it to the governor and the healthcare authority. And this is what we said, we said the same thing that I just told you. We were not taken into consideration when this decision was made on our behalf to suspend in-person appointments. And either, the union that represents the HCA segment of language access providers has not advocated against this, or this stance indicates that they are either in agreement or powerless against it. And we didn't mean any disrespect. It's just that we didn't see any leadership. I'm sorry to say it, but we didn't see leadership, and I was worried about those jobs, not only for myself, but for my fellow interpreters. So we had to do something. And I know that many of their leaders told many interpreters, oh, do not sign their petition. We would not tell anybody not to sign their petition because, if any petition goes through, it helps everyone. But it's really, really, curious that they didn't do anything about it. But when we did something, they wanted to shut down what we were doing, which is very selfish, in my opinion. Now, I want you to know this. Anastasio sent me at that time his paycheck for the previous 2 weeks, prior to April 22nd. And he's like, look, Juan, we have to talk about this because, look, I know you're working. Look, I'm working. I just received for the last 2 weeks $2,363.40. Now, let me tell you something. We are not the privileged few. Anastasio is not an agency owner. Not that agency owners are privileged or whatever, even though Wfse has been saying that. Some may be, some may have a lot of money. But anyways, Anastasio is not an agency owner. He's like me, an independent interpreter. So on the other side, you have, the HCA suspending in-person appointments because of some hand sanitizer and some gloves and masks for most of the appointments. And then on the other side, you have LNI that didn't want to give us telephonics and video, but we advocated, we created a petition, and we kept on working. And in the middle of a pandemic, we're thriving. And I'm not saying that this is the situation for everyone. Everyone that knows the LNI system and covers LNI appointments, you know that these work conditioning, work hardening appointments, you do not have them every month, but it is possible. And so I want to show you my check, what I got through direct deposit, the same period, the same payment cycle on April 22nd. This is my information. Of course, I blocked out personal information. And for the previous 2 weeks, prior to April 22nd, I got $2,984.12. And what does that tell you? Am I rich? No, I'm not rich. I'm not making this on a bi-weekly basis, but I'll tell you this was possible in the middle of a pandemic because we took it upon ourselves to advocate to LNI and say, do not limit us. So why would they, Local 1671, the other union, not stand up to HCA when they wanted to eliminate in-person jobs? We're not naive. We know this is a pandemic. We know we have to be careful. But if there is a way, and HCA said there are exceptions to this policy, and you can, as providers, request in-person interpreters given these circumstances and providing equipment and protection, then why not make it available to interpreters? This is another example of, why would you pay union dues to a union that's not really doing anything? So I got really confused because we're doing all of this. We're thriving. We're creating this petition. We got a breakthrough with LNI, and it's not only our credit because many of you signed that petition and advocated individually to LNI to allow us to work. But look, this is more recent. They just created this petition, and remember this, Afscme Interpreters United. I'm confused because they're like, Governor Inslee, support interpreters who need work. But I don't know. Aren't you the union that represents HCA, DSHS appointments to negotiate with HCA? Why didn't you do it? What's going on here? And this is kind of like what we have to, uncover for you guys. So they're talking about that, interpreters have struggled to access interpretation appointments, and they're talking about that this is, decreased because of the pandemic. But it's not just so, because like I just highlighted and I just showed you, LNI interpreters such as myself, Anastasio, and many others, we have been working, and it's not like we're rich, but we have had the opportunity to go and make a buck. We're not the privileged few. We are the hard workers, okay? We're not, just sitting here waiting for a union to save us, okay? We need representation with the union, but we are out there working, and we're taking it upon ourselves to advocate for our fellow interpreters. Okay, so, and this is something that they're copying a little bit what we did because it says right here, Washington State contract for remote interpreting services uses 2 third-party companies, CTS, LanguageLink, and Lionbridge. Isn't that what we did in the petition? We told LNI, don't do this. Don't give it to outside companies, outside of the state companies. Companies that would not benefit Washingtonians. But look, they're doing the same very late in the game when they saw that we took some initiative. And they're saying who profit from publicly funded interpreting appointments by underpaying predominantly non-union interpreters. Oh my gosh, really? It's just, and I want you guys to see this because this is not in any way, shape, or form a negative stance, but I want you to open up your eyes, and see what your options are going to be when we come to an election for the LNI system, okay? Now, they're saying that, do you remember when they favored this agency and their owners right here for this agency that were the LNI's apparent successful bidder have been in cahoots with them? So they're telling the governor, don't give contracts or jobs to out-of-the-state companies, and at the same time, they're supporting this, foreign profit corporation, active, based in Connecticut, Eduardo Zaldivar. Remember Marisa Giglio? Remember the relationships and the connections that I showed in the last video? So this is just for you to see and make an informed and educated decision and see who you're going to support. You don't have to believe anything that I say. This is my opinion, but I'm presenting you with the facts right here. And so I want you to know also that before I talk about the flyers that went out this week from our organization, Washington Interpreters, I want you to know that Afscme and their councils, they have been having a lot of trouble. And there was actually, a union that defeated them. Now, anybody that's not affiliated with AFL-CIO, Afscme, Wfse, they don't want to recognize them as a real union. And they have been attacking us, any other organization that wants to represent interpreters. Oh, you're not a real union, you're a guild. Well, a guild is an association of workers, And look at this. This is something that I found the Guild of Pacific Northwest Employees, and it says about us right here. We are a growing group of Bellingham, Washington State members who are seeking new representation for the members of Bellingham Afscme Local 114. We believe that our dues money would be better used here locally. Does that sound familiar? We are one of the oldest unions in Washington State and have been in existence longer than Council 2 from Afscme, our parent council, has been in existence. Recently, we have become aware of just how deep the greed, self-dealing, and corruption go within our council, and now Afscme International. Oh my gosh. Do you remember those election videos that I posted highlighting, what we perceive to be violations of the elections and how they reacted to it? Now keep on reading with me. We made a simple request for information, and you can see on our front page how long we have been waiting for an answer to our questions. We filed a federal lawsuit seeking help. Afscme International and Council 2 lied to Federal Judge Zilli to escape having to answer financial questions about our dues, about how our dues money is spent. That, coupled with the retaliation, does that sound familiar? When they call us sore losers because we question stuff? Look, these guys are going through the same. Coupled with the retaliation, bullying behavior, and flat-out corruption of internal processes meant to protect Afscme members, has convinced us wholeheartedly that we want no part of Council 2 or Afscme. We are firm believers in unions and the labor movement. Oh my gosh, they are preaching to the choir right here. And we want you to see this. It says we will be silent no longer. It is clear that this is about money and power. Bellingham employees want no part of it. We are looking forward to being represented with the Guild of Pacific Northwest Employees. Now, the voting period begins on March 16th and will be conducted by the Public Employment Relations Commission, or PERC. But look at what it says right here. May 13th, 2020 update. Our runoff election has been held and the City of Bellingham employees emerged victorious. Oh my gosh, they emerged victorious. Look, they defeated the bully. So why am I showing you this? Because, to you agency owner, to you independent interpreter like myself, to you that work in the LNI system, you make this money, you don't want a statewide de facto middleman of a scheduling system limiting us to just, emergency situations and urgent care appointments. This is the way. We have to become organized. We have to put our differences aside and understand that they're not too big to fail. These bullies could be taken down. And I'm going to show you the tally of the votes. Look at this. This is the tally of election issued on May 13th, 2020. Look at this. Okay? Look at this. We can do the same. Look, Guild of Pacific Northwest Employees, votes cast for Guild of Pacific Northwest Employees, 187. And for WSCCCE, 65, and the results are in favor of line 3 listed above right here. They won this thing. They defeated Wfse. They decertified themselves as a local and recertified with the guild. Okay? They won this. So this is not impossible. So please, this brings me to the flyer. Please help us. I know that you see the work that we've been doing, the legislature and how we went there. We made efforts to adopt amendments. Some amendments were adopted. What we've been doing, providing free workshops. Earlier this week, I did my part and got my part of the flyers mailed out. And we as a movement, we have been reaching out to you. And I know that today, many of you have returned these cards signed. This is a beautiful flyer that we created. I'm very excited about the contents and the graphics, and hopefully you like it. And if you received this, and we're wondering, this is coming from us. Okay, now this is what it looks like. Okay. You see, it comes from us. When you see the sun, the pointed sun right there, and the blue sky, this is us. And it has the stamp. And of course, I blocked the address right here just to show you an example of it. And this is, what it looks like on the front. Okay. And you could pause this and, read it on your own time. And then when you start opening it, you see right here, We are a new labor union created by a collection of independent interpreters, and we just want to keep our pay and mileage. Read it. Read it. If you're at home, read it. Okay? If you want to pause this, read it. But this is what it looks like as you unfold it, as you open it, highlighting what we believe, the issue with Senate Bill 6245, our cards, our pictures of workshops, activism, and, engaging with you guys. And this is the card right here. And we're just asking you sign and return the attached card and support a union that will fight for your best interest. Let's empower ourselves and function as a union that actually cares and respects the workers. Because they claim, Wfse Local 1671 and other groups, they claim to be run by interpreters. Do you work LNI full-time or the bulk of your appointments? Do you even cover DSHS appointments on a regular basis? And that's the problem with this Wfse and other organizations, especially Wfse. They have interpreters that have a certification and they only cover one appointment a week. And they call themselves an interpreter. Yes, of course, they're certified, but they cannot relate to you or me. We are interpreters that, we live off of this. We make our living interpreting, especially covering LNI appointments. Okay? Now, I want you to see this example of a card, and I want you to see, how I filled it out. If you want to, pause this and take some cues, you just, fill your name, last name, your address, okay? Cell phone, and then DSHS, LNI, what state agencies have you done interpreting for? Now, this card right here does not make you a union member. We have to win an election first, but what it does is it gives us the chance to be on the ballot, okay? So you get a ballot on the mail later on, and then you secretly, privately decide to vote for the union that you want to represent you in the LNI system. So if you could please fill this out, and check LNI right here. Have you taken an appointment since January 1st, 2019 with LNI? Yes. If you are an independent provider, you could say yes. If you work through an agency and do not have a provider number and you took an appointment helping an injured worker, say yes. If you plan on taking an appointment this year or later in the future with LNI, whether or not you have a provider number, say yes and help us that way, because your votes, your signature right here, it'll count as another authorization card so we could be on the ballot. And then on the back of the card, you see this right here. We included a prepaid postage, so you do not have to worry about paying for this, put a stamp on it. No, it comes prepaid postage provided for you. So thank you so much. This is what we do. This is when we went to Olympia. This is Senator King. Help us be on that ballot. As you can see, I hope you liked the video. I try to go fairly quick. I know these things, take time. But I want you to please check the timestamps in the description box. Go to the description box and check the timestamps of all of the videos that I have posted on YouTube and the live streams. And, I'm going to also include links to our website. And if you need more information, if you did not get a flyer for any reason, I'm going to provide in the link, the description box, our email address, my phone number, our union phone number, and we can mail you the flyer. So you have it, you could say you read it and see more information, and please help us. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. You have a great weekend. God bless. Until the next video.